Hi everyone, it's me, Sailor Moon Serena here, seeking to do this live stream for the 30th time. And yeah, my Reckoner, when Smallsoft Windows 11 couldn't handle whatever and chose to shut down on me. And this is bullshit. Someone's going to say, oh, what did you do to your Reckoner? You must have done something to make it shut down. No, I didn't. All I did is go on Euros, set up a live stream, start live streaming, and then the whole fucker just says, I can't handle it and shuts down. So then I had to go through AM thing. I had to go through the Windows thing to log in. Then once I got to the desktop, I had to shut off OneDrive. Then I had to go back to Euro, undo the live stream I did because you can't get into it once you're out of live stream. That's it. And some of you folks might wonder, why am I doing a live stream on my web shooter through my Reckoner instead of doing it for a web shooter from my Y speaker? And I'll tell you why. Because on Euro, if you're doing it through your Y speaker on their tool or whatever you want to call it, there is no shout out box. There is no setting for it. You can go down through all the settings they give you on their tool for the Y speaker, and there is no settings. It's gone. They took the shout out box away from live streaming on the Y speaker tool, the Euro tool for the Y speaker. But they kept it on the website. So the only way you get a shout out box is if you make films through the website instead of making them through the tool. And first off, I just want to say I was happy with making the first film that I made, the first live stream, and I was just in the mood to do it again. And then, and you wonder how that live stream ended. Well, Smallsoft Windows 11, for whatever grounds, thought it had a crash. It had a shut down on me. So I had to go through AM startup, Windows startup, then getting into the desktop, then getting out of OneDrive again, then going to the Euro tool, then ending the first live stream I did, start up this live stream, and I just hope that's a one-time thing, and that my Reckoner isn't going to start misbehaving like that all the time and say, well, you know me, you know what, and a lot of folks are going to say that, oh, well, you must have done something to it to make it do it. Yeah, what did I do? Go on Euro, make a live stream. They're going to say, oh, well, maybe you don't got any updates. Yeah, I got 22H2 and I couldn't go to 22H3 or 22H4. I couldn't go to any of those ones. Yeah, my Reckoner wouldn't meet the standard to go to 23H2 or 24H2. And no, AM never send any updates for any of the tools that I have for this Reckoner, and it's bullshit, you know. And I didn't want to start a live stream by talking about that. I guess we'll have to talk about that. So anyway, that's what happened. And you see the shout out box over there, which if you're doing it through the website, you get the shout out box. You do it through the tool, you don't get no shout out box. And a lot of folks told me, someone said, oh, you got to go to Euro Studio, you got to go to the Euro Craft Room. Well, I went to that tool on my Y speaker, and there was no setting for shout out box. So yeah, they took the shout out box off of live streaming off the Euro tool for Y speakers, but they kept the shout out box for the website. And I don't know when they chose to do that. I don't know why they made that call to do that, but they're always doing things and no one understands why they do it. And over the years, Euro has made some calls that you wouldn't give two shits about, but then they would do things you would care about. Like, what was it harming to have a live stream on having a shout out box on the live stream on your Y speaker on the Euro tool? What was that harming? Why did they choose to take that away from the app or the Euro app or tool, but keep it on a Euro website? I don't think anyone's going to have an answer for it. We're all going to have our little thoughts and beliefs here. So here I am doing another live stream again. Hopefully hopefully this kind of free time it works out. And so on, and getting back, my whole reckoner shut down on me when I was doing the 2 diff live stream going. So, and I had to go through the whole startup thing all over again, the whole Windows startup thing, blah blah. How that is. You know, telling OneDrive, getting out of that, getting back on the Euro, setting this live stream up, just so I can have a shout out box. And I know some folks are going to say, oh, maybe your Kindle blower shot. Well, if that's true, it's been shot since 2023 when I got this reckoner. Someone's going to say, updates. Yeah, well, this reckoner could not meet the standard to go on to 23H2 or 24H2 or any other Windows 11 update makes that there are. And I didn't do anything wrong to this reckoner. All I did was go on here and make a live stream, and Windows 11 tells me I can't handle it. There's just no warning, nothing. It just shuts off on me. And at first I thought, did I lose might? No, everything else was still on, so I didn't lose might anywhere else. And if that's going to be true, then that means the Y speaker is going to have to handle all this shit that you think the reckoner could handle. Well, anyway, you need to get off of that, because I just hope it's a one-time thing and it doesn't come back, because I always shut this reckoner down every night when I go to sleep. So, does anyone have anything to say? And I'm going to set the oversight now. If there's going to be any bullying or trolling or anything like that, if you're even thinking of doing anything like that in this live stream, then you're just going to have to leave now. That's a warning. So, anyway, here I am doing a live stream, and because you still get the shout out box if you do it through the website, but if you do it through the app or the tool, and let's be earnest, the app, that's a French's borrowed word right there. The English word would be tool. They take the shout out box away from you. It's gone. You can go through all the settings you want on the on YouTube or Euro's tool for the Y speaker. No need if it's Google Android or Apple iOS or whatever. And it's not there. And I know someone's going to say, did you go on Studio or Craft Room? I did. And no, that tool's not there. So that's how it goes, And to be so funny about this, because I'm going to I'll go on the website, I'll go on the tool right now on my Y speaker. I'm on it right now, and we'll say, oh, let's look. No, there is no setting for that. I go into films, I go into lives, and it just shows me all the lives that are filleted. And it does not show me any settings to get a live to start the shout out box on a live stream, on here. They do not. So I can go back to the tool again. I can go back to the website again, or the tool, which kind of behaves like a website in some ways. And I might say, hey, let's do a live stream. And then right here, here's all the settings I will show to you folks right here. See? And there's settings that are nothing for shout out box. So let's say that I hit that. Then it brings all this up, for all the tools. But look, there is, even if I go into advanced settings, or I go to highest settings, and if I click on allow, see, yeah, well, see, that's already on. It doesn't care because it still said it's not on. And see, look, right there, and there is no setting for the shout out box here. I don't even go into advanced settings or, highest settings. See? Now there's the setting. It's on. But sadly, they took it away. Sadly, the tool doesn't have it anymore. So there, you saw right there how there is no shout out box anymore on live streaming on Euro's tool on the Y speaker, and I just showed it to you right there. And I guess anyone doesn't have anything to say about that. Well, what can you say about it? You'd be like, well, I'm sorry to hear that. It's the same way on mine as well. It goes, hello, man. How you doing today? I'm doing well, thank you. I'm doing very well. Thank you for asking. Thank you for coming to the live stream. Now, another thing a lot of folks will always ask is like, how did Dwayne get into Sailor Moon? Or, well, I can make it a long saga because a live stream I can make it long. I mean, I could make a long upload about it. Now, Dwayne's beginnings of Sailor Moon goes back to at least between 95 YL. Maybe even earlier than that. Because in between 92 YL, there was some folk work that somehow gotten unlawful broadcast to Sailor Moon. And it would be the Dawnest Sailor Moon with all the shit, written out what folks were saying. And I'd watch that and not think anything of it. Now, years later, between 95 YL, when the Walt Disney business and Deep Glee won the rights to Sailor Moon, at least for the first two followings of Sailor Moon, and the Sederland got Sailor Moon first, 1 month before the 4-1 rights did. Now, Dwayne saw Sailor Moon on UPN and WB. But some UPNs and WBs would put Sailor Moon on at 5 and 5:30 in the morning, some at 6 or 6:30 in the morning. Now, Dwayne would watch some of the sagas. He'd get up early enough. He might watch a saga of Sailor Moon, and this may have been a day when he was either off from Learn, I guess. And then that'd be it. And if it was a Learn, he'd go watch it. Then he would just go for the rest of his day, and he wouldn't talk about it. No one else would talk about it. And then years would go by and he'd forget even about it. So then years later, and this is by 2008 YL, Nostalgia Critic, or we'll call it the Old Scaver here, is talking about Sailor Moon. And Dwayne's like, I would think back to watching that. And he got into it. And this was back when you could watch Sailor Moon's Deke and Pioneer either for Euro until it was taken off due to ownership. You could watch it on Vugon until that was taken off due to ownership and double right. You could watch it on Anime World or Drawing Show World. Same thing, ownership double, right? And then many other sundriest websites and some other crazy website called What Sailor Moon Online. Yeah, always had showings and all kinds of evilware shit. Then, to make a longer saga short, that website's gone. Then it was SailorMoonTV.com, but once again, they'd gotten in a bind of ownership and double right. And then after that, you just had websites like Watch Cartoons Online or Watch Drawing Shows on the interweb. It says, I want to know how much those Sailor Moon dolls cost on eBay or Etsy or Overstock or Deal Dash. I don't know. You'll have to go on you'll have to go on there yourself and look up the worth, you know. There are sundry sellers on there and they sell it for the worth will shift. So I don't know how much they're going for on eBay or Etsy or Overstock or Deal Dash or anything like that. But a lot of the dolls that you see here, a lot of them came from Amazon or Strong Woman. Very few of them came from eBay. None of them came from Etsy. None of them came from Overstock or Deal Dash or whatever. It said, I have a Rainbow Bright doll. Well, that's good to hear. Dwayne has two Rainbow Bright dolls too. Has the Hallmark Rainbow Bright doll and the TSL Toy Rainbow Bright doll. So that's great to hear. Well, one of his goals is to get the big TSL, the big Ragdoll Stormy, Tickle Me Pink, Moon Glow, and Indigo. Well, all right. And some folks out there might wonder, did you follow me? I mean, I would be cool if you did choose to follow me on here. It says also, I got mine from Crackle Barrel. Yeah, well, the two Rainbow Bright dolls I got one from the American Thrift Center, Vinlander Thrift Middle. I don't know what year it was. It may have been 2021, 2022, well, something like that. And the other one I got from Walmart. It says, I hope that your weekend's going well. Yeah, my weekend's going very well. You know, thanks for asking about that. I believe that, and this is just my belief here, I could be fully wrong about it, is that sometimes I think that I am the black sheep, or Dwayne believes he's the black sheep of the Sailor Moon followership, due to uh, his take on Sailor Moon not being the same as everyone else's. You know, oh, you made them do this on the show, on your fairway, but it didn't do the same thing. Or some of them out there might think that I'm not a true Sailor Moon follower because I haven't followed it back to between 95 YL. Or you like the Deep Glee Sailor Moon or the Pioneer Glee Sailor Moon. Oh, it said, I have a live stream, brother. Cheers. Thank you. Hey, Dwayne, I found out how you got, well, I want to hear that. Well, you know, thank you for that. Um, and some folks, you know, might think that, some folks might say, oh, Sailor Moon, oh, Serena, are you going to, are you ever going to be a Euro friend or a helper? No, never. That was never my goal. It's not my goal. I'm already upholding at least no following followership oversight, ownership and double right, whatever. I don't want to follow business friendship or business helpership oversight that either shifts every year or something like that. Then dealing with showings oversight that shift either every year too, you know, and then worrying about income toll that is or is not being taken out of any income that's being made from any showings on the uploads, live streams, or shorts. So no, thank you. Don't want to deal with it. Never will meet the standard anyway. It's like you got a lot of followers, yeah, but my looking time and my watching time are not good, and I'm not into that. Now, some folks on this website, that's their goal. That's what they want to do. And then, oh, wonderful for them. You know, great to hear that. But for me, I don't want that. But for me, I don't want to do that. All right. That's not my thing. You know. And some folks have also asked about this web shooter and say, oh, why does everything come out muffled or whatever? That's just the way it picks up loudness. But I have the small speaker, and I'm going to go right into its settings, and I'll even show you it's loud. And it's going to ask me if there's a bind to why I'm going in with, see what it says. It's at 8. Why the hell did it go to 8? There, put it at 100. But at the end of the day, that's just how it films. It just films things like that. I have it up to 100, but that's just how it picks up loudness. I thought that your counter the other day uh, taught your films. It said I thought you went no, but I did make a lot of films. But the truth is, I made about 5,000 films, 5,000 uploads, and that's between uploads, live streams, and shorts. You know, you know. Well, the truth is, Sailor Moon for Life has more films, more followers than Power Rangers for Life or Might Keepers for Life or the Jordan Long Fairway or TWF Wrestling or Xena Melinda Pappas or Rainbow Bright for Life. And then it grounds because once I got my Y speaker over here about 2 years ago, and then I could film things wirelessly if I wanted to. It got me back into the mindset of making at least 2 films a day, maybe 3 films a day, and that's just how I got there. Yes, it is. It's the main one, you know. So now we're going to go into the yesteryear of all my, because this isn't my first one. The first Euro fairway I had was Sailor Moon Red, and it only lasted for a year, 2008 YL to 2010 YL, because it got hacked. And still to this day, I'll never know how it got hacked, who hacked it. And then there was Sailor Moon's Red 1, and it lasted for about a year, 2010 or 2011 YL, about 2010, 2011 YL. Once again, this time fake flagged for followership oversights. Then Sailor Moon's Best One, 2011 2012 YL, fake flagged again. Then Sailor Moon's Best Two, fake flagged 2012 YL. Then Sailor Moon on YouTube, but I misspelled it. But I had one with it, fake flagged again. Then Sailor Moon Red 1, 2, 3, 4, 2012 YL, the 23rd between YL, once again, fake flagged. And when I mean fake flagged, I meant that I never did anything that I was being truly flagged for. And see, this was before Euro started really. This was back in the past where you could say flag and someone at Euro would say, yeah, you're in a bind. And this was before the strike and this is before, the warning and the free strike things. So then I started Sailor Moon for Life, and that was about 10 years ago. And here I am now. So that's the whole yesteryear of that. But then I had many other fairways in the past too. I did a Godzilla fairway. I did Hiroko Geisha's Cool. I did Mary Jane Royal, Wu Yin 10. I did Lucia Quanta Phoenix Chan. Those were some of the other ones I may have done at one time, but I didn't know where to go with them, and that I just was done. And those are the ones I chose to end with. So it is what it is, though. So I don't know if you folks are going to follow me or not, give me more followers. I'm not asking for that, You get what you get here. Well, and some folks would say, what is your goal? Oh, well, on the 5th month, let me pull my day book out. The 5th month, the 8th between of the 5th month, is going to make 11 years that Sailor Moon's for Life got started. So they'll make 11 years. And that's a big deal. Because some folks are lucky and they have their fairways going back to when they first started them, and others aren't so lucky, and I'm lucky that this one is still around. I am thankful that I never gotten truly flagged for followership oversight or ownership or double right. God forbid there's a lot of that still going around on this website. But mostly, yeah. And I'm thankful that that never happened. And how did I keep my good standing? By keeping myself away from, not getting into other folks' business, not starting things with folks, by just blocking and hushing and forbidding, trolls or bullies or whatever they want to be called, and not having nothing to do with them. So that's how I kept myself in good standing. Because I just wanted, yeah. And I get it. Maybe I'm not everyone's beloved Euro folk here. Not everyone's going to like you or your work. I get that. But I think my work's good. And to be earnest here, a lot of other folks always ask about what are my other goals to get other Sailor Moon dolls one day. And the answer is, yeah, mostly a Great Eastern Glee. Squeeze dolls seem to be, that's my goal, to get them one day too. But you can only get whatever's being sold from Walmart's website or whatever being sold from Amazon or Strong Woman's website. That is my goal, to get those others one day too. And now my dog's barking. Mimi's barking. Mimi. Yes, I'm on Look to My Craft, and this, you want to know the truth of why we started this, going back to 2008 YL, why Dwayne did this? Because when Dwayne first came on Euro, there was no one doing it with the dolls. I mean, there was no one else doing it. Yes, you had folks doing it with Mario and Sonic and Mickey Mouse and SpongeBob SquarePants, but you didn't have them doing it with Sailor Moon. You didn't. I mean, it wasn't until about 2020 while 2021 while, and hey, maybe even 2022 while when you had Sailor Moon Jacob come and go, and he was doing it. And then you may have had some other folks that were doing it, but that was it. And you might have this Tina Warrior, whatever her name is, doing it, but she tends to do other squeeze dolls from other drawing shows or drawing films. So yeah, I did something that no one else at the time was doing. And Sailor Moon Jacob reached out to me in 2020 YL because somehow he had learned that I was doing this thing. And then for some time he was doing Sailor Moon films too. He had a lot of squeeze dolls though. And then he would leave, they'd come back, and he'd leave and come back, and I don't know if he's around anymore. But there wasn't really anyone else besides me and him and others doing it. I mean, there might be someone who does it like, one time and that's it, you know. And it's true that I can't do all the same kind of films other folks can do. If I have to do a team film, everyone has to come out. I got to put the stands everywhere. Then I got to film them. And it's not as smooth as here, hold two dolls and through the Y in front of your Y speaker, web shooter, or do the same thing. So if I want to do a team film, that's how it goes. If I ever do the pull film one day, I'll have to get all the stands out, put them there outside and film it and make it look like they're at the pull. So, but the one thing I don't do is I don't skim my films. I don't, shift the brightness. I don't shift the darkness. I don't cut out anything, put anything in, you know, and a lot of folks don't like that. There are some folks who, folks like to skim their uploads, their live streams, their shorts, their podcasts, whatever. That's their business. Great for them. But anyway, it is what it is, you know. And everyone wants to know wants to say, how am I doing these days? Well, I'm still Sailor Moon, still the fighter of love and right. I've still been fighting I've still been fighting evil since between 92 YL. And so many folks out there mistaken me for this Usagi fellow that I don't even know her. It's true, maybe Usagi and me look alike. We got the same yellow hair, we got the same hair way, we both shapeshift, but her world and my world are not the same. Her friends are not my friends. Her foes are not my foes. You know? And a lot of folks get angered, or one time you can be like, there was gatekeeping, and someone told me, oh, so you're not going to say you're not going, don't call her Serena, you're flighting my wisdom. I'm not flighting no one's wisdom here. My name's Serena because that's the name I had in the Geek world and the Pioneer world. All right. Then someone on X told me, stop saying those names. Say the right names before the Deep Glee world and the Pioneer Glee world or the Pacific Glee world. Those are the right names. Some folks make a big deal about which offshoot of Sailor Moon you like. You got these rows in the sand, I guess, in the followership. I never really cared that much about it. Don't really think it's a thing. You'll have the folks that like the Toei Sailor Moon and think that that's the greatest out there. And then you'll have folks that love whatever offshoot of Sailor Moon they had in their world, whatever speech it was put into. And then in the English world, you'll have this big flight in the Sailor Moon followership that loves the Viz one, but oh God, they hate the they hate Pioneer, they hate Renaissance Atlantic or New Birth Great Sea, and I never really gotten into that war. It's not even a thing. The truth is, I like all the Sailor Moon. But when I think of Sailor Moon, to me, it's a deep one that comes up. When I think of Sailor Moon, that's what I think of because that's the one Dwayne grew up watching, but didn't think anything of it until years later. You know, well, I guess I was just, well, looks like I got no one else watching my live stream now. I wish there was a lot more folks watching. I had two, and then they left. Well, we just go back and read everything we did have going here. Last thing we got is you are on look to your craft. Yes, that's right. If I was doing this through my Y speaker through the Euro toll, there would have been no shout out box and no one could have wrote anything good or bad. You know. So anyway, I guess this would be a good time to end it because I don't really think anyone else is coming on. And in the past, I used to do these long live streams when I first started doing live streams. And I'm not talking about when I would do a Google Hangout, to take the stead of a film until I could get some way to start making uploads again. I'm talking about after Euro live stream became a thing and Google Hangout got withdrawal. I'd make these long live streams with, and to be earnest with you, oh, so, it is what it is. Now, to be earnest with you, some folks out there might say that Dwayne doesn't know every single thing about Sailor Moon, and that's not true. He was a newcomer to Sailor Moon. He's been into it since 2008 YL, which isn't as long as many folks would think, and he had to learn everything about the show in a short time. But he mostly knows everything about the show there is to know. You know, as long as you're talking, yeah. Because some folks out there might not think that, you know. So there, I just had to, clear my throat again. Sadly, these things happen. And I don't know if anyone else is gonna, come on this live stream or not. I mean, I got one fellow, he or she comes on, they leave, they come on, I don't know. Now, there's also one other tool on the live streaming on the website that you don't have on the tool. It is a thing called edit or skim or shift. If I click on here, I can go through and make any shifts to anything I want to do. If I wanted to, that is, which I'm happy with. Okay, I'll just go on and say, I'll go and say what month, date, and year that the film was being live streamed, and that's it. You can't really do that on the Euro tool with live streaming. Like once you go through and you set all your settings and you write everything down and you set your likeness or whatever you do, boom, that's done. You can't really go and shift your live stream. They take that away from you. It goes snap JT White goes soup. Well, thank you for coming on the live stream. Thank you for coming on here. Everyone will ask me, and they'll say, "Hey, Serena, do you still eat sweets?" Yeah, I still do. I didn't give up on eating sweets. I still got sweets. I still got sweets, going back to Holy Fellow Valentine's Day about a month ago that I still have. So yeah, I still eat sweets. I didn't give up on that. You know. Except a rainy Sailor Mini Moon, Sailor Small Moon, Sailor Little Moon comes in and takes my sweets from me. You know how that goes. Do you believe Sailor Moon should be a fighter and over Smash Brothers? Yes, I do. But that's only if Nintendo and Toe. That's only if Nintendo and Toei can get a deal for Sailor Moon to be on that game. And so far that I know of, I don't really know if Nintendo or Toei have any deal for Sailor Moon being on any of the over Smash Bros. Film games. I know they might have a deal with a lot of folks, but I don't think Toei or Nintendo have a deal for that. But that would have been cool if they did. But I guess you never know. It goes, they should add games to Switch. I guess they should. But over the years, a lot of my film games, that has been a lack of Sailor Moon film games. On all players, there's been a lacking of it. Very few Sailor Moon games have come out to the Sony PlayStation or the Smallsoft Xbox or the Nintendo or whatever, Gate of Heaven, Switch. Yeah, there's a lack of Sailor Moon games. Very few Sailor Moon games have come out. And you would think that there would be a lot of games being made now, and you'd think they'd come out to all those players, the fame, but they haven't. So yeah, there's a lack of film. I have a very lack of film games, you know. So yeah, so it's true about that. That's really that's really up to the Toei business and Aldeling Now Golding's business if they're going to make any film games get a deal with anyone from film games. Either getting a deal with Microsoft or Smallsoft for games on Windows or games on the Xbox, or a deal with Nintendo or Gate of Heaven for games on Switch, or a deal with Sony for games on the PlayStation, or a deal with Apple for games on the Macintosh OS or whatever, or a deal with Google for games on Android, or a deal with Apple getting on iOS. So yeah, very lacking. There's a lack of Sailor Moon games. You know, you don't see that with any other thing. Like, look at the Power Rangers or the Might Keepers. They have sundriest games that were being made over the years by Bandai, and then by Disney themselves, and then by Mid Games. And they don't have a bind of having too many games. They got a lot of them. So I got a lack of having games these days. So anyway, I just want to, anyway, well, I don't know how, I don't know how long I'm going to, you know, do this live stream for. And I'm also going to tell you folks that you're the fighter of love and right, Aldeling of the Moon, young Queen Serenity of New Earth, has had a bind with sleeplessness going back to 2021 YL. In the past, I could get to sleep like that with no bind, you know. But after, and then in 2021, YL, if I don't take sleep help, I don't get to sleep. So, and in the past, I used to take sleep help, I don't know, from Rite Aid, and it was weak. Then a sleep help Walmart had, it was weak. Then the sleep help that, from other folks, it was weak. So then the only sleep help I could go by that seemed to be strong enough most nights to, that would work would either be the sleep help from Ken Dollar or the sleep help from Dollar Fighter. Because let's be honest, yeah, I brought it up to my healer many times when I went, and he would say, well, you see, sleeplessness is just something that happens. Now, if it started if you couldn't sleep for a long, long time, and you started doing things to your health, then we could talk. Yeah, so it's like your sleeplessness has to fuck up your health, or if you already have some kind of illness to begin with and play off on that, then they'll take it earnest enough. But then they might send you to some sleep healer out there, and he or she might come up with all kinds of same bullshit like, did you make your room dark? Did you make your room cold enough? Are you wearing do you have, and then they'll ask you things like, oh, well, did you do things about clearing your mind before you went to sleep? I say I did all those things. And I'd say everything it told me I would do. I wouldn't be here if none of that worked. And knowing them, then after all that shit, they'd write me out a following for sleep help, the really good kind that puts you out like that, but the kind that is really more harmful. So yeah, my body has a love and hate kinship with sleep. It started in 2021 YL, and it never went away. If I don't take sleep help, I don't get to sleep much nights. You know. So it's out there. Big deal. All right, looks like I'm going to bring this live stream to an end. I want to say thank you, everybody, coming out into this live stream. Hi, Sailor Moon, Serena Sakino, or Serena Kimball, and I'll see you later.